much, Neil. I thought you were making a run for it when it was my turn to read. Out that door, I thought it was curtains for me. Handwriting. Anyhow, it's very good to be here. I'm here for such a short time, but it feels like I've been here for ages already. I didn't think it was as warm as it is, and I didn't dress so much for warm. I had, especially the footwear, I had runners and I had high heels for today's reading with the salsa jeans, but we couldn't be doing that. So the woman in the house that I'm staying in gave me her dead mother's shoes. They're absolutely brilliant, you know. And I love walking in them and I love wearing them. And I think it takes a special person to give you their dead mother's shoes. I'm really grateful to her. Don't be put off by all the stuff I have in front of me. I always do that. I'll only dip in and out. So I'll read very few from Throw in the Vowels. And the first one I'd like to read is called Grandchildren, because I didn't have any grandchildren and I wanted them so badly. And all of a sudden, all of a flash, I've got 4. When I wrote this poem, I didn't have any. Grandchildren. It's not just feasible at the moment, one daughter tells me. What with Seamus still robbing banks and ramming Garda vans when he gets emotional on a Fish Tree Friday in February. Maybe the other daughter could deliver. She thinks not at the moment anyway, while Thomas still has a few tattoos to get to cover any remaining signs that might link him with the rest of us. Just now a B-52 bomber flies over on its way from Shannon to make a gulf in some nation's genealogy. The shadow it places on all our notions is crystal clear, and for a split of a second helping, it juxtaposes the pecking order. Now bank robbers and tattooers have as much or as little standing as popes and princes, and grandchildren become another lonely utterance, impossible to pronounce. So I have 4 now, and I'm just mental about them, as they say. And Jennifer had twins, all of a flash, and then she had another baby after the twins. So the twins are 18 months, and the new baby, we always forget him, because he's like, but we don't really, but you know, he's there, we say, oh, pick up the child, play with that child. Somebody talk to that child, because the twins are the home wreckers. So he's 6 months, and then Oisin is 8. Anyway, this poem is called His Eyes Were Empty, and it's a poem about my father, and the I is the letter I in the title. And it's not true, the first line. I say the only thing I like about my father was his handwriting, but that isn't true. But that just worked in the poem. Hello. His eyes were empty. The only thing I liked about my father was his handwriting. His ends were slender and mean. They had big city written all over them. His R's were turned in, secret keepers that stole or owed nothing to chance or design. His ends were nowhere now, but they had travelled through continents of isolation and sting. His M's were memorable. His mother was free. She died before she could wing him a lullaby. His M's now mine to take or leave. I took a left and lost. The spines of his K's were sentinel straight, once teddy by wise, now cornermen lonely. The watches of history, the warmers of stone. His G's were fractured and cross, snarling like the Litcher Moor mongrels at the cheating half-days of winter. His eyes were empty, except for that gulf of longing that gaped around syllables, making contact a cavity language never reached. So I think I'll just leave that for now and go on to Ireland's Changing Mother. The poem I'd like to read, the first poem I'd like to read from it is, it's Ireland is Changing Mother, the title poem. And we live in Castle, well, there's no absolute nutters in this audience, so I can say we live in Castle Park, because sometimes people just rock up to your door And they, like, you know, it happened to me a couple of times, and mostly just dropping in poems that they've written, or that their kids have written. Stop fucking doing it. I'm busy, I can't cope with it. Anyway, so Ireland is changing, mother. When I'm in my box room at home, there's a pitch just to my left, and I'll put a table there so I can look directly at it. And I said to Jennifer one day, I could hear the lads were playing football, and I could hear the soccer, and I said to Jennifer, are one of the teams called the Ballyban Taliban? Because I live in Ballyban, and more information that I shouldn't be giving out. So she said, yes, there's a team called the Ballyban Taliban. And when I was much, much younger, the mothers washed the steps, you know, the step in front of your house was scrubbed, and that was a great, you know, people were proud of how clean their steps were. Ireland is changing, mother. Don't throw out the loaves with the dishes, mother. It's not the double take so much, it's that they take you by the double. And where have all the Nellies gone and all the Mrs. Kellys gone? You might have had the cleanest step on your street, but so what, mother? Nowadays it's not the step, but the mile that matters. Meanwhile, the Ballyban Taliban are battling it out over that football that will bring the local yokels to a deeper meaning of over the barring it, and then some scarring will occur, as in cracked skull for your troubles. They don't just integrate, they limpigrate. Your sons are shrinking, mother. Before this, your sons were gods of that powerful thing, gods of the apron string. They could eat a horse, and they often did with your help, mother. Even Tim, who had a black belt and sleepwalking and borderlining, couldn't torch a cigarette, much less the wet haystack of desire. Even he can see. Ireland is changing, mother. Listen to black belt Tim, mother. When they breeze onto that pitch like some Namibian gods, the local girls wet themselves. They say in a hurry, oh my God, oh my God. Not good for your son's mother, who claimed to have invented everything from the earwig to the slither. They were used to seizing Cynthia's hips, looking into her eyes and saying, I'm Johnny come lately, love me. Now the Namibian gods and the Ballyban Taliban are bringing the local yokels to their menacing senses and scoring more goals than Cuchulainn. Ireland is changing, mother. Tell yourself, tell your sons. I stole all these from my daughter's office in town. They're the greatest invention, these yolks, until they dry up. They're Post-its or whatever. Anyway, he was no Lazarus. When I was a teenager, I worked in lots of shops and lots of factories, but I worked in this particular newsagents at Eyre Square, and the Chantal fellas used to all come in because they'd all be going to jail. They'd be up in court, so then they'd come in and they'd go off on the train at 3:30, and you'd never see them again, you know. But anyway, I used to give them free cigarettes because I thought that's what you do when you work in a shop. You work in a shop, you give out free cigarettes. But anyway, I'm older now. Probably was dishonest. Shoot me. He was no Lazarus for Niall McMonaghan. In the newsagents come bric-a-brac. Days were spent gawking out, hoping the girls would come in for a chat, or any old gossip that would help throttle a jaded afternoon. I smoked nearly as many cigarettes as I sold, and what I didn't sell, I gave away. The Chantal gang came in ones and twos. Give us a fag, Lovine, and I'd give them 20. Once I gave Elvis Kelly a yo-yo to pass the time until he went to England. I'll give you one long snake kiss for it, he said. They all went to England on the 3:30 out of Galway. We were like banshees crying over them. Then we lived for the SWALK letters. Harleston got him and plenty more besides. He drowned his sorrows in the Green Man. A right yo-yo. He fell under his own weight and broke his skull. A maverick blood vessel made the same noise as a cork. Pop went his flashlights and they all fell down. When he went down, he stayed down, ton of brick style. He was no Lazarus, no shape-changing Greek or Roman god. Abracadabra, now you see me, now you don't. He was no Zosima either, though he wore the brown scapular of Our Lady of Mount Carmel around his neck. He came home in a box, Spartan, no frills, just a shiny plate with his name, his date of birth. I was one long snake kiss out of pocket. And this green guy in here, what would that be? The Immortals. The Immortals. I'll drink out of your glass. I had TB, so you may not drink out of my glass. I'm better now. I used to be affected by the moon, but I'm better now. But, whereas I live in the council estate, I'm spoiled, utterly useless, because people are always giving me houses. One time a woman gave me a house in Monaghan, but in Galway I had a cottage in Spiddle for ages and ages, and now a good friend, when she goes back to Germany, she lets me have her house in Invern for the winter. And the family don't love it as much as me, because I love the language and everything like that, and they just make me get lonely so that I'll come home. And I always come home. Fuck it, what can you do? But anyway, the Immortals. So when I used to go down to the pub in Spiddle, these little feckers would be flying in their souped up cars, and they were joyriders and that. And actually, you don't hear so much of it anymore, but when I used to attend Irish classes, I'm the student that's learning Irish for 30-something years and still isn't fluent. But anyway, in the classes, the kids would come in, the youngsters, they were all youngsters, they'd come in, and there'd be so many missing from the class because one or two might have died at the weekend because of the joyriding, or the boy racers. And after a reading, a woman from Finland gave me a small painting, and she said what they do here is they go out onto the lake with the car, and the ice breaks, and the car goes down. So it's even sadder. The Immortals. The boy racers quicken on the Spiddle Road in Barbie pink souped-ups or roulette red Honda Civics, with few fault lines or facelifts to rev up about. Only an unwritten come hither of thrills with screeching propositions and no full stops, if you are willing to ride the ride. Hop you win, filly, in my passion wagon. Loud music and cigarette butts are shafted into space. We'll speed hump it all the way, baby. Look at me, I'm young, I'm immortal, I'm free. Gemmas and Emmas, stick insects, or supermodels, regulars at Be a Diva for the perfect nails, eyebrows to slice bread with, and landing strips to match. They wear short lives, they dream of never slowing downpours, while half-syllable after half-syllable jerk from their peak-capped idols' lips. Their skinny lovers melt into seats made for bigger men. Look at me, I'm young, I'm immortal, I'm free. The boy racers never grow older or fatter. On headstones made from Italian marble, they become our loving son Keith, our beloved son Jonathan, etc., etc. On the Spiddle Road, itching to pass out the light, they become Zeus, Eros, Vulcan, Somnus. And the last one I read from Ireland is Changing Mother is, no one mentioned the roofer, and this is about my son-in-law, who's actually really unwell, and he's very young. He married Heather. He wasn't in the grandchildren home because they were nice guys too. So he's really ill, and I thought I was going to have to cancel because he's only 46 and he has stage 4 cancer, kidney, renal cancer, secondaries in the lung, and he's so young, and he's my 8-year-old grandson's dad, and he went to hospital the day I was coming over, so I thought I was going to have to cancel, and then they just said he's absolutely fine. It's all lies, but I'm going home tomorrow, so it'll be grand. So no one mentioned that he was a roofer, but then as an adult he went back to college, and he got all straight A's in science through an adult education course. And anyway, but his job was a roofer. No one mentioned the roofer for Pat Mackey. We met the minister We gave him buns. We admired his suit. The band played. We all clapped. No one mentioned the roofer, whose overtime was cut, whose undertime was cut, whose fringe was cut, whose shoelaces were cut, whose job was lost. We searched for his job, but it had disappeared. One of us should have said, "Hey, minister, we like your suit, have a bun, where are our jobs?" But there was no point. He was here on a bun-eating session, not a job-finding session. His hands were tied, his tongue a marshmallow. So, I'm going to try a few new poems, because this is the tough thing about it. You have to always be writing stuff, and you have to try them out. And then I'll finish after the new poems. I'll finish with a few filthy poems from Tunglish, and just to give you a warning in case you don't like filth. You could be getting ready to leave now. But anyway, I'll read a few of the new ones first. And the first one I'd like to read is called The Children of Sin. And, if you've ever heard of Catherine Corliss, she was a local historian in Tuam. It's about the Tuam babies. And she discovered that all these babies went into this home. And where did they go after that? And what she did was she paid for the the birth certs of the babies. So she could find out in that way. It was very clever of her. And she found out that nearly 670 babies had died in a fairly short period of time. And but that's really not so much about what the poem was about, but about the children that did survive stayed in the home until they made their communion, and they had to go to school before the other children, and they had to leave before the other children, and they wore hobnail boots. So people would be indoors and they would hear them, the children of sin. The children of sin are out again, out from behind the 10-foot wall. They march to school, that's a hobnail rule. The march of the hobnail beat can be heard on the street, in the houses, in the memory, in the long, tired memory. No need for anyone to look out. They know that sound. The hobnail memory makes a hobnail sound. The children are on the march in their hobnail boots. They arrive 10 minutes late. They leave 10 minutes early. If you were bold, you were threatened with the seat by a home baby, a home alone baby, a nobody home baby. A home baby carried the sin of the mother. The priest and nun always win against the sexual sin. From school they march back in their hobnail boots. 5 or 6 years old, the children of sin march home again. They march in behind the wall, the 10-foot wall, until tomorrow, when they march out again, the children of sin. And then, when they grow up, a lot of the children were sent to places like Letterfrack or other institutions, industrial schools. And there's something called the redress board, where they give them some money, very little money, but they give them things like cookers, or they get your teeth fixed, or it's so patronizing, it's unbelievable. And the redress board get plenty of money, but one day I heard a program, and all these people who had been in institutions were ringing up saying how they were humiliated when they started to ring up and try to get some of the things that were due to them. So the CEO, her name is Higgins, no relation, I hope. Anyway, so the poem is called It Suits a Narrative. It suits the narrative of the big bad state and the big bad religious congregations. Mary Higgins, CEO of Caranua, the Irish Times, March the 20th, 2017. And Caranua means new friend. So here we go. Some applicants will never be happy, and grievances suit a narrative of the big bad church and the big bad state, and the big bad building with the big bad gate. We ration our compassion, while all ye say suits a narrative of the big bad state. We ration our compassion, but we give you a couch. We ration our compassion, but we give you new windows. We are the keepers of the church's money. We divvy it up. We divvy it out in dribs and drabs. We won't give you money, but we give you new teeth, a new radiator, a brand new funeral. It's not that we want your pain to be everlasting. By the same token, it suits a narrative for ye to come on here and complain and say we have no compassion. We have oodles of it, but we ration our compassion. If we give you stuff without humiliating you, it won't feel right. You ask, we give, or maybe we won't. Still, so fill that form and then fill another, and another, and another. And one for your sister and one for your brother. And while you're at it, one for your mother. Don't listen to the guy who said criminal records are given out like Holy Communion to people in institutions. We all know he stole an apple. Otherwise, why would he have been there? Some applicants will never be happy. And it suits a narrative of the big bad church and the big bad state and the big bad building with the big bad gate. Thank you. So I'll just do another, maybe one of the new ones. And I'll do the trespass against us because this was a leaked memo from the HSC, that's like the health board, and they said to nurses, this went out to nurses, this went out to hospitals all over the place, and they said to nurses, you know, patients who've been there for a while are just trespassers. You can use minimum force to get them out of the beds. So this is the new one, and then I'll finish with the other ones. They trespass against us. The memo said, get them out of that bed. Make Lazarus out of the lot of them. By the head or the knee, a puck in the back, a knuckle in the nuts, a sweeping ankle throw, but no bruises. They trespass against us. Minimum force at all times, except at tea times. Give them nothing, no tea, no ham. Give them spam, they trespass against us. Unwilling or unable, get them out of that bed. Fed or unfed, get them out of that bed. But no bruises. Infirm or inform, who cares if they're warm, they trespass against us. They are blocking our beds, get them out on their heads, they trespass against us. Memo meant for senior management eyes only. Written by their legal team. Paid to be mean, paid but not seen. They trespass against us. Now, I'll just finish up with a few poems. I think I'll just limit you to 3 because it's hot. You know, I'll limit you to 3 of these dirty ones because it's not good to come to Ledbury reading faith. It's bad. So what happened was, Tunglish is really the mildest of them, like, because that was the sequence started with Tunglish, and Tunglish is very mild. But the word Tunglish comes from tongue and ghoulish, merging the 2 words together and leaving out the U, or leaving out the H in ghoulish, so you don't have, you don't say tongue ghoulish, you say Tunglish. And I went to Rome with my daughter. I love walking tours, and I didn't know the sequence about Rome. Went home and read anybody, read Mary Beard, read anybody that wrote about Killigilla and the bios. So I just hope the daughters never read them. But there's no fear of it, because they never read poetry anyway. You know. We heard you were great at such a thing, but that's as far as it goes. Anyway, I'll start with Caligula, because he was pretty badass. You've had all my handmaids. You think they don't tell me. They tell me everything. You forget about Nemesny. She clocks up all your putrid deeds. Now you sprawl there with that wine goblet in your hand, your red lips. You look more like me than me. Will you drink it or throw it? Madness in your eyes. I know some depraved stuff is cooking. The eyes never lie. Before this you were never bothered much with Countess, a rear ender like the rest. You look at the grapes and you mad-eye me, all in one sycophantic blink. You fiddle with my toga using that emperor toe. Your aim is good for one so riddled with venom. Why can't you be more like Benedict, who warded off lust against his holy sister Scholastica by rolling around naked in nettles and thorns, emperor of evil with chiffon sanity? You boast to the menfolk our private deeds, Beelzebub. If I pop those grapes, you dunk your nut, as if Countess was vile and a favour bestowed. You forget about Nemesne. She forgets nothing. She'll turn you into a horny toad, or a double take, or better still, a lost look. Now, Nero features in this one, and he was pretty bad as well, you may say. An octave higher. Sometimes you take me by surprise, but nearly always from behind. You don't even take off that armour when you take me, lover. The incantation from the racket is deafening, but it's not without a curious comfort, an ancient lullaby, calamitous fuck. And Jove knows it's heavy as our sins, and we do sin often of an afternoon. O emperor of darkness, O cunning fuck, toss me with your Herculean strength, that I may glimpse your vacuous eyes. Your sandals drenched again, no doubt you were flailing about in the Tiber, taking down a few Christians for spree. On your way to take me, godling, what gets into you? When you bite my nape with such gusto, after me soaking for hours in ass's milk, I snap momentarily. Slap wouldn't have been out of place there. I snap momentarily, more from startle than from sting. When I shudder from the draught in the vestibule, even if we ever reach the bedchamber, it will be a miracle. You think it's because of you, egomaniac, and you plunge deeper. I snap again, an octave higher. I say, basta, Nero, basta. You never listen. So I'm going to finish. I have enough of them now, because the day is too hot. I'm going to finish with this, The Women of 1916. And thanks a million. And it was absolutely great. I'm lucky I'm staying so near that I just ran up and had a shower before the reading, so I might have to do the same now. But thanks, you've been tremendous, and good to see you. Hope to see you some other time. The Women of 1916. The state recognises that by her life within the home, Article 41(2)(1, the Irish Constitution. Years before the offending article was even conjured up by De Valera and the Very Reverend John Charles McQuaid, with the help of a pack of Jesuits, the plan was set in train to banish these biddies back to their kitchen sinks. The banishing tool of choice was the airbrush. The women of 1916 did not sit back and wait in the wings of history with tricolour dribblers to mop up the runny eggs from the chins of the rebels. These unmanageables were there from the start. They could knit a 32-county Ireland in plain and pearl with their eyes closed and never drop a stitch, while rearing 7 sons and as many daughters. The rifles they held were not for showing, but for using. The handgun could nestle on a hip or be tucked into a petticoat. Webley, Colt, Smith or Wesson. Winnie with the Webley Carney was one of the last people out of the GPO, revolver in one hand, typewriter in the other. I write it out in a verse. Lily O'Brennan, Constance Markovich, Helena Maloney, Ellie Nellen Gifford, May Moore, Rosie Hackett, Dr. Kathleen Glynn, Margaret Skinner, Rose McNamara, Nell Ryan, Lizzie Mulhall, Kathleen Kitty Fleming. Whenever green dresses are worn, some tricolour dribblers spill scorn. Thanks a million. Better be Margaret.